SK Vibemaker.
We got Snoh Aalegra in the building. How about that? Jeez.
Hello.
I usually start off the interviews by saying, is this your first time to the UK? But I know you used to live out here, right?
Yeah, no, I used to live here on and off for about like 3-4 years before I moved to LA, like 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah.
I mean, what brought you to the UK then? What brought you to live over here?
I was dating somebody here.
Okay then.
Yeah, it was a long relationship. Yeah, we don't have to get into that. But
Of
yeah,
course.
that's why I lived here.
I watched you at Shepherd's Bush Empire. The first time me seeing you perform. There was many things that could have conspired against me not being at the show, but I made sure I was there. And I was very happy to be there because your performance was flawless.
Oh,
I mean, the
thank you.
first time seeing an artist perform for me and seeing such a flawless performance, you commanded the stage. I mean, you sounded as good as the songs that are recorded on your albums, maybe even better. There's a lot of artists struggling with live performances these days. How was Shepherd's Bush Empire for you?
Thank you so much, first of all. It was a magical night. I'm still high from the performance. It was so much love in the audience, and it's so crazy, you know, to see everybody sing along. It was my biggest headline show I've ever done. You know, that venue. It's gonna be similar size when I do some of the US cities. But so it was a special one for me.
So you kind of touched on it briefly. You was dating someone, so you was living in London for a little while. Now you're based in Los Angeles, California.
Yeah.
I mean, was that move strictly for you to try and fulfill your potential as a musician, or was there other reasons why you decided to relocate to Los Angeles?
Yeah, I definitely moved because of music. I don't think I would ever move to LA for any reason than for, you know, a career type of move. It's a tough city to live in. It's a tough city to make genuine friendship and, you know, any relationship with. It's everybody's there to kind of make it in some type of capacity. So, you know, that was like a bit of a shock for me. Although I always known about the mentality, but actually going there and living there for real and facing this, you know, was kind of hard for me because I moved there being kind of naive, being like, oh my God, everybody's so nice. And this person is my new best friend and we're like sisters. And, you know, you really feel like it's so genuine and then it's not. And that was something I wasn't used to. But, you know, now I've lived there for almost 5 years. I've got thicker skin and I kind of know how to maneuver and not take things to heart. So yeah, it's the show business.
Of course, the show business, the music business,
the music
capital
industry.
words and inverted commas, just in case you didn't know. I Want You Around. References to Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Now I have to be so honest, and I don't mean any disrespect, but there is my brother-in-law is always talking about Stevie Wonder as
me
like
too.
the
We have
greatest.
something in common.
He's always talking about him as the greatest musician ever.
He
Over
is.
Michael
He
Jackson, over
was.
many other greats mentioned.
I mean, he is, sorry.
And I have to be honest with you though, Snoh. I don't feel like I appreciate him enough or listen to his music enough.
Really?
So I want you to sell it to me now. Like, please help me understand, because I've had
Shame
many
on you,
conversations.
shame on you.
But I'm
shame
being
on
honest
you.
though. But I'm being honest.
So I grew up
And for
with,
a younger person as well.
yeah, I mean, I grew up with Stevie Wonder, listening to Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, Prince, Whitney Houston, like all the greats. They're all equally as great to me. They're all, you know, they all have their thing that they were so great at. Stevie is my only hero left alive out of all of my big heroes. Stevie has the best catalog of all time, period. He has like 800 songs. You just got to listen and it speaks for itself. I don't need to really sell it. It's Stevie Wonder.
Where shall I start though? Tell me a good place to start, because I look at the huge catalogue of music and I just don't know where to start.
You just like, I think you should, you know, pick albums and just like listen through albums as a whole. Songs in the Key of Life, you know, start with that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to get a message from me maybe in a week or so, and I'll be giving you some feedback. Now, when it comes to your music, you are one of the rare contemporary artists that is actually doing R&B soul of purity. I mean, there's a lot of R&B soul artists nowadays, more of the R&B persuasion, but they're mixing it with like trap or like with a hip hop influence. When we listen to your music, we get the pure soul. I mean, is it quite easy for you to buck trends and not, try and sort of blend in with like the current flavors?
I've never listened to trends ever. That's why it's taken so long for me to kind of get recognized. I love trap music and turn up music, and I turn up to it when I'm out or in my bathroom. But I don't love hearing myself on a trap beat unless it's for somebody else's project. I'm super open to it, but it's not really my sound. I do have a foundation of hip hop in my music. I work with almost all the producers I work with are like OG hip hop producers. So the drums start there. It's like, hip hop bass. And then I mix it with, my kind of elements, which is like strings, live strings, pads, thanks to people like Michael Jackson and, growing up to like Walt Disney soundtracks and Steven Spielberg and, really being into soundtracks and big arrangements. I kind of wanted that in my own music, that cinematic feeling. So, that's kind of like my sound. I kind of call it like cinematic soul R&B, what I do. No, there's nothing wrong with trap beats. I did go a little bit more contemporary on this latest album. Like I Want You Around has kind of a simple, more contemporary beat, which was interesting for me. Same with Nothing to Me. It has these like claps that I usually would be allergic to. But I was just way more open when I made this album, and I had a lot of fun. So you never know. Maybe one day soon you're gonna hear me on some crazy trap beat.
Maybe in the future. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
They say behind a lot of great artists is a great producer. Now you have a heavyweight producer in your corner as well. Kanye West's mentor. He produced Jay-Z's last album, 444. Mr. No ID. You're signed to his label. Now I know the story of how you connected, but just for the sake of everyone listening and watching, just let them know how you connected with No ID.
We met about, it's been a few years now. We met like 7 years ago almost, something like that, maybe even more. He's married to my cousin, so we're family. So he's like my brother-in-law. And, I've always been making music. He's always been making music. And when we met, we didn't really decide that we're going to make music. It's just something that happened naturally. I was just working a lot, around, him in LA, and he would help me, set up sessions with people. And then, he kind of heard what I was doing and really loved it. And, first we didn't want to mix like family and business, but then it was like kind of inevitable, and it was just stupid not to. And ever since we started working, it's just felt like so good and natural and organic. And he's my big bro and always had my back. And it's been really good to have him in my corner, because I feel like he's one of the few people that let me just be myself and accept me for who I am and not try to change me. And it sounds like such a cliche, but for somebody like me that been through so much, it hasn't been an easy journey for me. I've been signed since I was like a kid, basically, on and off in different deals. And I was in a deal in Sweden where, I had to sign with no legal advisory. Like they basically had me signing a contract at a cafe when I was like 18, and I wasn't allowed to show it to a lawyer. Like I didn't know what I was doing. They basically took advantage of me in that way. So I've been through like a nightmare, like doing music, like up and down. But this also sounds like a cliche, but like my love for music never died, and it's just been my escape from everything, and there's nothing I love more than music. So it's just all I wanted to do. And ever since I met No ID, I just felt like I got to flourish into who I really am and just be myself for real, and not doing anything I don't like. So
because I know you were signed to Salam Remy before as well when you went to the States, right? You had a situation with Salam Remy?
So I was working with No ID and everything, right? And No ID was at Def Jam. But at the time, we decided, Salam Remy started working at Sony in the US. So we decided to sign with Salam Remy to Sony and LA Reid. but that didn't work out.
Mm.
I was there for about 2 years or something, and quickly kind of realized again, I'm maybe not like a major label type of artist. I just, I just need to do my own thing. I'm very, I'm very particular about my art and my music, and I don't like too many opinions. I don't like too many, chefs in the kitchen.
Straight up.
So to say.
Of course.
My team right now is very small. It's like me and my manager and no ID. We were 3-4 people, and I do all the creatives with my creative partner, who is my manager as well, my cousin Isabel. We do everything together, and that's kind of the way I like it to be. If I have any more extensions, we need to really be aligned, and
and nice on your terms. Well, speak to me about the working dynamic that you have with No ID as well, because he's a pretty low key guy, but he's done some major things. So I'm thinking, like, is he very hands off? Does he put pressure on you? Like, I mean, is there an expectation of what he feels like you should achieve? Because your musicality could go to the stars. I know you like to keep it independent. You're saying you want to keep it independent, but what's the working dynamic like with No ID?
It's amazing. As I said, I'm allowed to just, feel and just do whatever I want. And we really both care about the quality of the music. And, he's a music snob, and so am I. So we just do whatever we like, and that's it. If people fuck with it, they do. If they don't, they don't.
Straight up.
Straight up.
It's just blunt like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Understand.
Straight up.
So you've had your ups and downs with music. Like, you've explained some of the situations you've had with labels, and it's not been an overnight thing, but you've kept your passion for music.
Yeah.
When was that moment? Because you've been involved with music for a long time, since a teen. When was that moment that you felt like you found your voice and that you was a serious musician and you could do this for life? Do you remember that point?
Yeah, I think I found my true, like, I felt one with myself in a musical sense when I did my Don't Explain EP. That was when I really truly found my sound and was allowed to do my sound, so to say. Before that, I was in situations where so many people had so many different opinions of what I should do and not do. So I kind of had to go through that. As you mentioned before, everybody has a different journey. Mine's been long.
Yeah.
But
It happens like that
Here
sometimes.
Yeah.
Every time I talk about the album, I say like, oh, those feels again. That's how I say it.
Yeah.
Every time I mention it on radio. Now, one of my favorite songs from the album is what we're about to play, Whoa.
This song to me is about, the feeling of euphoria, of the highest feeling of love, and that goes to both love and my love for music. I didn't write it about anyone in specific. It's interesting on this album, usually all my songs, most of my songs, 99%, are about somebody I've had something with, That's because I only write about my life. But this song kind of, I was just in a imaginary world, almost like being in a high state when I wrote it. But I wasn't high, but like just in a very good place when I wrote it. I worked with D Mile for the first time, and this was the first song we ever did together. He produced it, I wrote it, and it just felt so good. It's like a good feel-good R&B song. It gives me a bit of 90s R&B
90s
vibes.
feel. Snoh Aalegra's in that building. Not your everyday conversation. How you feeling?
Hello, I'm feeling good. I'm a bit tired. I didn't sleep last night. That's
It
why I have my
happens
shades on.
It's all right though. You look super cool. The jacket,
Thanks.
the swag's on point though.
Thank you.
Look at the swag. This is like it's leopard print, right?
Yeah, it's not real though.
That's very important though.
Very important.
Very important. So, Whoa. One of my
Whoa.
favorite songs off the album. You said that you wrote this in a euphoric state, but you was definitely sober. So that leads me that leads me on to like ask you: is there many times that you write intoxicated, or sometimes I speak to artists and they like to get high when they write. They like to record in a dark environment,
right?
Loads of people. I know you don't like to record with a lot of people around, but do you often write or create songs in a intoxicated?
No, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs.
Very important to state, because a lot of people assume.
People assume things. Nothing wrong with it. I do drink alcohol every now and then, but I have a very, very sensitive voice,
Mm-hmm.
and my voice comes first.
Mm-hmm.
My job comes first, and I don't want to risk it too much. So, you know, even on this tour, it's been tough because my album came out less than a month ago, so, and I was celebrating. I was having some drinks
Mm-hmm.
every day for 2 weeks.
That turn up life.
And I lost my voice, and I've been struggling on this tour.
You wouldn't have known.
Wouldn't have known. So I've been on vocal rest a lot,
Mhm.
trying to be quiet in between the shows. You know, I had to go to vocal doctors. I had to take steroids for certain
man.
shows. Yeah, it's been a lot.
Mm.
So yeah, I try to stay away from alcohol
Mm.
and everything. But I do love to have a drink every now and then. But
Mhm.
no, I don't. I've never written a song being I'm drunk or high. Maybe I'll try that sometime, but not really.
So
Okay.
you said that you write a lot of your songs from 99% experience yourself. The
Yeah.
second album, those
I mean,
feels again.
actually, all of them are.
All of them are from experience.
I'm just saying, I usually, even Whoa, it's not about a specific person. When I didn't think about a specific person when I wrote it. I thought about somebody.
It was in theory.
Yeah, I thought about maybe something I wanted to attract into my life, like a positive vibe. Same when I wrote Find Someone Like You.
Straight up.
Yeah. Find Someone Like You is dedicated to my future husband.
Future hubby.
Whoever he is.
Oh, single life at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Say no more. Wow. Shouldn't say that too loud too much, man. You might get a lot of DMs. Do you know what I'm saying? Are you inviting the DM life? I mean, do you reply to DMs?
I mean, I reply fans.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not the approach that you want from a potential hubby in the future, hitting you on the DM. That's not the way.
You know, I feel like, yeah, I don't know what to say about that. It's this day and age we're in, right?
A lot of women encourage that.
I mean, it's kind of normal to connect through the matrix these days. It happens.
It happens.
It
a lot.
happens, but then it's important to have a real connection in real life.
Straight up. Now, the second album, like I say, every time I say, those feels again, that's how I say it. That title alone, it smells of apprehension for getting more feelings. So, I mean, are you apprehensive about relationships now? Like having those feelings again? Is that generally how you're feeling?
I'm a very emotional person. I think with my heart before I, think with my mind. I'm trying to switch that around a little bit. Not be so emo. I feel so much, I go off feeling, and it's just who I am. So I was kind of making fun out of myself in a way, and it's kind of like a feels part two in a way. Yeah.
I was interviewing a young lady from your homeland. Her name is Awa. She won X Factor in 2012 in Sweden. Do you know what I'm saying? And she told me one thing that she thought was kind of important that maybe a lot of men should be wary of is never date a songwriter. Now, because otherwise you are going to be like, part of a future song. Now, situationship.
Oh, yeah. All my songs are about, like, all my exes hate me.
That's what I was going to say. There's a lot
they were flattered at the same time. I think they appreciate the positive songs, but not the negative songs, right?
How much do you write these songs and want your exes to hear these songs, though? Because there's a lot of realness and a lot of truth and maybe embarrassment for them.
I mean, some of my songs, when I did Feels and Don't Explain, I was in one relationship, a long relationship. So all the love songs were about the same person. And it was hard for him to hear certain truth,
Home truths.
Because I keep it real. Keep it real. It's like my music is it's like an open diary. Like you really get to tap into my life, which is interesting because when you meet me as a person, I may come off as kind of reserved in the beginning. But when it comes to my music, I'm so naked, bold, open. So that's the only way I know how to write, to tell my truth. So it can be, I know it was hard for him at some point, but then he would be like, yo, but this song is like kind of catchy. So,
Bop to the jam.
Mixed feelings, I guess. But yeah, if you hang around me for a while, you're gonna inevitably become my muse.
Straight up.
And I will write songs about you.
Snoh Aalegra's in the building. How about that?
Hey.
Swagged out today. As beautiful in person as what you see her on screen. And that isn't something to be taken for granted. I see
That's
people
very
on the screen. Oh, man, I got to be honest. Don't act like you don't get that often. Don't-
I never take a compliment for granted. You never know when they're gonna stop.
For real,
Yeah.
for real.
Yeah, so thank you.
Now I know the answer to this, but I thought I'll give you the chance to break it down. Like a lot of people, they don't know your heritage. They've been like thinking, is she Moroccan? Is she South American? Is she maybe Turkish? I've even heard like let them know like your heritage.
I never got Turkish. That was the first time. I'm Iranian, fully Iranian. Both my parents was. We have very different, what do you say, like skin tones in Iran. My mom is very fair, green eyes, green-brown eyes, blonde, almost, now she is. My dad was darker than me with an afro, he almost looked black. We have black people in Iran too. We have just all different colors. So
Straight.
my dad was really tall. And that's why I'm kind of tall. Most Iranian girls are kind of short.
Yeah.
So that's why people think they can't tell where I'm from.
Where you from?
I get Latin American a lot too. I get all different, things. But it's been really cool having that background, Iranian background. And also, the Swedish culture. And then, moving to America, just have these like cultures and the back of my mind, just embracing it all.
Do you feel somewhat of a flag bearer or a patron? Like some people don't feel this, but do you feel like a patron for Iranians, because you don't hear about many Iranians like in popular culture, to be honest?
Yeah, I never thought about it until a few years ago. I kind of realized like, wow, actually when I grew up, I didn't have anybody kind of maybe that looked like me, that was in the forefront of pop culture. Not that I don't think it matters. When it comes to music, for me, I don't care about skin color or how somebody looks like. It's like, how does their music make me feel? Music is about a feeling. It doesn't matter. But if we want to talk, if we want to be whatever, superficial or whatever, I noticed like, okay, there's not many Middle Eastern people in the forefront of pop culture. Like we have some people now like DJ Khaled, we have French Montana, Majid Jordan. I was even talking about this with Majid from Majid Jordan. He's from Bahrain.
Yeah, I spoke to them before.
And he was saying like, yo, it's cool that you're from Iran and, you're doing this. There's not a lot of girls and a lot of girls are looking up to you, from the whole Middle East. So I think it's really important, to have more people.
And being a female as well.
Yeah, a female, just more diversity, overall. Yeah, period.
So you grew up in Sweden.
I'm born and raised in Sweden.
Born and raised in Sweden,
yeah.
Just outside of Stockholm, right?
Yeah.
So like I take this opportunity right now. I like to do this with a lot of artists of international, from international places, not just from the UK. Tell me about the place that you grew up in.
So I grew up in 3 cities. My childhood was a little bit shaky, rocky. My parents divorced when I was like 2 years old. I was born in Uppsala. I lived there till I was like 7. And then I moved to a really small city called Enköping that only 40,000 people lived in. Very small. So I had a lot of time to myself to dream big. There was not much more to do. I would always just be in my room singing, imagining myself being on a stage one day. And then, then when I went to high school, I applied to this musical high school that you had to like do an audition for, like a private music school that I got into. And they accepted me, and I moved to Stockholm, and then I was there, back and forth. I would take the train back and forth before I actually made the move. But then we all made the move, and now my whole family lives in Stockholm.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. That was quite insightful.
Yeah.
And quite concise.
That was a lot of details. Yeah.
Hey, the future is looking very bright. I'm glad that we've got an artist like you definitely out here representing good music first and representing good soul and R&B.
SK Vibemaker.